Hari Om, everybody. So far, a quick synopsis of what we have studied in chapter 3. There are 4 types of people. The first one is a kami, who is a hypocrite because he has kamana, he has desire in his mind, but outwardly he's not acting. So we have 2 types of faculties. We have the faculty of perception, the sense organs, and then we have the organs of action. A kami is one who is engaging his sense organs, but not engaging his organs of action. The next is a karmi, who has desires and he's acting. So he's engaging both his sense organs as well as his organs of action, and that's fine. No problem with that. The third one is a karma yogi, who is controlling his organs or sense organs of perception. Mind, intellect is under complete control, and the organs of action are fully engaged. And the reason that he's doing this, he also has desires in his mind. He is also acting to fulfill the desires, but not only to fulfill the desires, also to purify his mind. And that is the technique that is being now told in this chapter. And the first, we already heard a couple of techniques. One is to engage in action, considering it to be my duty, number one. And then engage also in action, being detached to the action itself, as well as to the doership, as well as to whatever result is going to come. That is the position of the karma yogi. And the next one is karma sannyasi, who has no desires in his mind. So one who has no desires in his mind at all, no problem whether he engages his organs of action or he does not engage his organs of action. It really doesn't matter. It's okay. That's karma sannyasi. That is the state that we want to reach. And if we want to reach that stage, we need to be at the stage of karma yogi. These are rungs of the ladder. We were maybe a kami, karmi, karma yogi, and then karma sannyas. Now, one thing that we need to see here, think about here, is that in verse 7, Bhagavan talked about a mithyachari, a hypocrite, that is a kami. And in 8, he says that, no, sorry, 6, I think it was, right? Yeah. 6, he talked about the hypocrite, and 7, he talked about the karma yogi. Because what did he say here? Karma yogam asaktaha savishishate. The one who is unattached to karma is special, which means he's talking of a karma yogi and he's talked of an hypocrite. But I have introduced, not I, my acharyas told me, and that's what I mean, the concept of karmi. Question is, why is Bhagwan not talking about, he has not spoken about the karmi at all. So you do a little bit of thinking here, because the reason I'm doing this thinking, Mananam, is because I have time. That's all. I have luxury of time. I'm not time bound. I have to finish this chapter in particular session. So I've been thinking, and think about it. Like, he goes from a hypocrite, from a kami to a karma yogi. He's not mentioning a karmi. So one thing that we have to remember here is that Bhagavad Gita was specifically told to Arjun. He was the only one that was listening. He was the only one that had the fortune of listening to. So Arjun is already a karmi. Arjun was not a kami. If you look at Arjun's life, I've told you there are many, many battles he had won. His name was Dhananjaya because he was the one that brought in the maximum wealth for the Pandavas. How did they get wealth that time? They would go, they would conquer the other kingdom. The king would become their sort of under their protection, and then the king would be paying them taxes or whatever. That is how the wealth came in. So he was already at the level of karmi because he had desires and he was acting for them. There was no karma yoga there. But in chapter 1, what happened was, from a karmi, he falls into a kami. He falls. This is the beauty of Bhagwan. This is when we surrender, Bhagwan doesn't let us fall. He will lift us up. Because he was already a karmi. Okay. Now what he said, I don't want to do this karma now. He said, I don't want to fight. And had that dissolved his desire? No, no, desire was there. So he's falling. He fell. He actually fell. And therefore, then Bhagwan brought him up into, he fell into tamas, brought him into rajas. Okay, he came into sattva. And then, so that's why Bhagwan has not said anything about karmi. Arjun is already at that stage. But Bhagwan is now telling him to rise above. From karmi, you become a karma yogi. And that's why Bhagwan is mentioning karma yoga here. That you are a karmi already. You're falling. You fell. When you said you didn't want to do the war, wage war, you wanted to run away, then you're a hypocrite. You're a mithyachari. You're not a karma sannyasi. You think you're a karma sannyasi because you're renouncing action. But no, you're not a sannyasi. You are a mithyachari. This is what Bhagwan is now indicating to Arjun. That's why we need to know this karmi. What is this karmi? We need to at least, that's why mithyachari, kami is not allowed at all. Karmi is okay. Being a karmi is okay. From karmi, you rise into karma yoga. Okay? That is point number one. The other thing also we saw was the 5 types of karmas. So nitya and naimittika karma, this niyatam kuru karmatvam. Niyatam kuru is nitya and naimittika. Both of them, this niyatam word means both these. Okay? Kamya karma, I told you, kamya karma, nitya is daily, naimittika occasional. Kamya karma also has to be naimittika, in the sense occasional. Kamya karma, something that I like to do. Kamya is what that I desire. I love to watch movies. I love to watch plays. I love to travel. Whatever that I like to do falls under kamya karma. That kamya karma cannot become a nitya karma. So every day if I want to go for a movie, every day if I want to do something that I like only, that is not allowed. But why is it separated from, it is occasional. Why is it separated from naimittika karma? You have to understand that naimittika karma is a must do. Naimittika, therefore shraddha falls in there. So shraddha is, you do once a year for your forefathers. So that is not that you like to do shraddha, therefore you're doing. It is not like that. It is your duty. Also, naimittika karma in our, we can say, oh, but I myself personally don't do any shraddha every year for my parents. But naimittika karma is something like I told you, one thing, very basic level, fast. When I decide I will fast on Monday, now Mahashivratri is coming up, right? So I will do that. That is a naimittika karma. Now, with such naimittika karmas, occasional duties, you have a choice. You decide. Like I said, I told you, there are families who say every full moon day, I will do a Satyanarayan Puja. It is, if it was your family tradition, maybe your parents were doing it, whatever, you decide, do I want to do? One thing in Maharashtra, this Ganesh Chaturthi, which is there, the families who bring Ganpati, it becomes obligatory for them to bring every year. And if some generation doesn't want to do it, they have to do a special puja saying that, okay, traditionally my forefathers, my grandparents and all were doing this, but now I will not be doing it anymore. That is naimittika karma. So naimittika karma is not something that I like to do, that I have to do. And kamya karma is occasional, but it is something I like to do. I don't have to do it. I like to go for movies. I don't have to go for movies. That's the difference between those two. Okay? Naimittika karma, you decide. You have a choice. You decide. I want to fast once a week. I want to do this thing. But once you decide, you have to stick by it. Otherwise, don't decide. You don't have to. Some of these you don't have to. And some of this maybe you can't. Okay? So understand that. We have to understand karma here in this chapter thoroughly. That's why all these bifurcations are. Any questions, you ask me. And that's where we were. Okay? And Bhagavan has said that until the dying moment, karma will continue, because until you die, you're breathing. Whether you do anything else or not, as long as you're breathing means you're not dead. So action is going on. So there is no escape from action. We must remember that. There is no escape from action. How I do that action, I have a choice. And the first two to-dos of Karma Yoga, the principles of Karma Yoga have been given: sense of duty, Kartavya Buddhi, and Asanga Buddhi. Okay, being detached. Now the third one. This verse is one of Gurudev's favorite verses, and we'll see how it was his favorite verse. This also, I think I should stop saying that only. Every verse is important. Yajñarthat karmano nyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartham karma kaunteya mukta sanga samachara. The world is bound by action other than those performed for the sake of sacrifice. Do thou, therefore, O son of Kunti, perform action for that sake, for yajna alone, free from attachment. So the world is bound by action, bound, not physically bound, but bound to the cycle of birth and death. Okay, number one point to be understood. That is what bondage is. That is what this bound means here. Karma bandhanaha. The law of karma dictates that there will be a result. That's a law. It's like law of gravity. You throw something in the air, it is going to come down. That way, law of karma dictates that there will be a result. And if I get attached to that result, I will get bound. That also is a law. There is no escape from. Law is a law. You cannot change it. You cannot escape it. You can escape, this karma bandhan you can, and that is the way, but that is the law. Now, the key word here is yajna, the first word, because yajñarthat karmano nyatra, like do for the sake of yajna. So we need to understand the meaning of yajna very well here. Before that, he's used the word kaunteya. Let's understand that. He's used the name Kaunteya for Arjun. Kaunteya, son of Kunti, or like Gurudev would say, Kunti ke bete. Kunta means sharp. Kunti was considered as one of the very intelligent women of those times. She had a very sharp intellect, and Kunta means sharp. So by calling him Kaunteya, Bhagavan is indicating to him that you are of sharp intellect, so you will understand how to get out of this karma bandhana. We have to intellectually understand and then physically do that and mentally then follow. Because understanding has to be at the level of the intellect and the detachment has to come at the level of the mind. The intellect rules the mind. Remember that. In this chariot example, the charioteer is the intellect, the reins are the mind. So the mind is under the control, should be under the control of the intellect, should be. Therefore, intellectual understanding is very important. Understanding has to be at the level of the intellect, and then that intellect can bring the mind under. If the intellect only doesn't understand, then how that mind will come under control? So therefore, this word Kaunteya here, that is the load of the name Kaunteya, which has been used for Arjun, a one of sharp intellect. Now Yajna. Traditionally, Vedically, Yajna means, the fire ritual. Physically, it means the fire ritual. So you may have heard the word Havan, you may have heard the word Yaga, they all mean same. Yajna means that there are this Havan Kunda is there, the container of bricks, and then in that the fire is made. Most of you would have seen it. And then the priest goes on offering oblations on behalf of the host, Yajman. And that's it. So now, if we take this meaning, if we take this word to mean that fire ritual, then what happens is these words See, we have said these are Bhagavan's words. What is the definition of Bhagavan? Cannot be negated. They were true at that time, they're true today, and they'll be true in the future. Now, in today's world, if I say that is what it means, or including me, I don't do the fire ritual at all. I don't even know how to do a fire ritual, which means I have, if that is the way of getting out of bondage of karma, there's no way that I can get out of bondage of karma. Now, what is the point in telling that? Therefore, this word yajna cannot be taken as that physical fire ritual. Point number one. You cannot take it. Okay. Next meaning of yajna, yajna by Vishnu, who it is said in Vishnu Puran, in our scriptures. Yajna means Vishnu. Vishnu is who? Lord Vishnu, Bhagavan Vishnu, sleeping on the Sheshanag. Means what? Means God. Yajna itself means God. So when Bhagavan is saying do actions for the sake of yajna, it is do actions for the sake of the Lord. That's how it means. Now, when it is said do actions for the sake of the Lord, if I think, okay, I'm doing puja every morning, I make a garland, I meditate, I do japa, I chant Hanuman Chalisa, Vishnu Sahasranam, I'm doing all this for the Lord, and then I will get freed from bondage. Wrong. That is also not correct. Yajna means Lord, but when it is said actions to be done for the sake of the Lord, means actions to be done as an instrument of the Lord. Actions to be done considering the entire world to be the Lord, not just your one murti in your altar for which you will do everything in the morning and then you go, you live your life as whatever, doing whatever that you want to do. That is not going to release you from bondage. That is not the meaning to be taken here. When it is said, do for the sake, I told you already, Lord, Guru, God, Guru, country, small child, senior parents, society, something other than yourself. Do it for them, not because you like it or don't like it. You either do it because you like and you don't do because you don't like. Action driven not by like and dislike, but action driven for the good of somebody else, where your own likes and dislikes are not brought in there. That is what this means when you do it for yajna. Okay? When we take the meaning of yajna as the Lord, yajna by Vishnu, if we take the meaning, then that is what Lord. Lord doesn't mean only Lord. Lord can mean many things. Something other than you, without likes and dislikes. Okay? Then, yajna also means sacrifice. And that's what he has said. For the sake of sacrifice. It also means sacrifice. Now, what should I be sacrificing? That's the question. You do it as a sacrifice. So you have to sacrifice something to do that action. And the thing that you need to sacrifice, if you want to get your mind, because see, the goal of karma, we are studying how to convert karma into karma yoga. And the goal of karma yoga is only and only purification of the mind. It is not getting an external, the external result is a side effect which will come. Okay, but the goal of karma yoga, the number one goal is purification. Number two goal is whatever that external goal that you have. That comes number two. For a karmi, that is number one. Purification is not even in the picture for him, for a karmi. He doesn't even know that mind can be purified, it should be purified, etc. But a karma yogi knows that. A karma yogi is one who has come into this knowledge and he knows it. So purification becomes number one, external result becomes number two, and therefore what needs to be sacrificed is likes and dislikes. That is the highest sacrifice that you can give. That in your own mind, you need to remain neutral. You need to remain neutral to the action. You may not like the action. Then if you don't like something, and we had this, if there is too much pressure of that action on you, now it is your duty to do it. You may have to make a choice in life. Which is a greater duty for me? What is a greater duty for me? That choice you'll have to make. You have the choice. Choice is always in our hand. That's why the brain is up here, head, intellect, right? So choice has to be made that, okay, the promotion is not as important to me as maybe looking after my family or something else. But if you, just because you're being overworked, and now out of laziness, you don't want to do the extra work, additional work, because, oh, I don't have enough time to play my video games or my TV, then think again. So yajna meaning sacrifice. Now, for those of you who have, maybe most of you have seen our Jnana Yajnas that the mission does. This Jnana Yajna word, which was coined by Gurudev, that Yajna has been picked up from this verse. That's why this verse is very important. This chapter, by the way, it came to my mind. This was the chapter that Gurudev was doing when Swami Tejomayanand, as a just graduated physics graduate, heard. This was the chapter that Gurudev he saw that ad in the paper. He was just fresh out of, he had just finished BSc. And as per his own telling us, he said, I took admission for MSc physics because I didn't know what else to do. And my brothers wanted me to, his father had passed at that time. So his brothers, they wanted him to study further. So he took admission for MSc. Not that he wanted to do MSc, he didn't know what else to do. And then this Karma Yoga chapter was being done. He saw the ad in the paper. He said, oh, I got to go see what this Swami has to say. And he heard this lecture series and he came home and he told his mother, I don't want to do MSc. This is what I want to do. That way also this chapter is very important. That way, So this is the chapter that changed, he's like Swami Tejomayanand said, he understood what he wanted to do, because till then he didn't know what to do. So he just said, okay, I'll do MSc. That's why. Okay. So Jnana Yajna. So those of you who have attended, even before COVID, Vancouver would have 2 yajnas. So Swamiji would come and the whole atmosphere would be like charged. All of us would be doing, I mean, Tripti is smiling. She knows. India, it'll be even greater than what it was here. Everybody put away, their personal, I don't like this person, I do, all these petty differences, petty likes, just everything was put aside. Swamiji is coming, now we have to do this. Now we used to, hi, how much work we have put in. Like Zoom is like nothing right now, get up early in the morning. I mean, because if Swamiji is staying at your place, every Swamiji gets up at 4 o'clock. And before Swamiji comes out of his room, you have to be showered and ready and fully dressed. You can't just be there, oh, okay, hi, hello, good morning, Swamiji, how is it? It's not like that. So, but we forgot all those things. We were we always functioned above body level. Get up early in the morning and then, breakfast and so many people visiting and hi. Those who have seen it know it. Yeah. Now Swamiji is in India, Zoom, we will sit aram, say whatever, nobody can see it. It's so this, that's why Gurudev said, this is a Jnana Yajna. Yajna, a subjective fire of knowledge in which you offer the oblation of your ignorance. That is the subjective meaning of this yajna. So outwardly, it is actually the fire. Actually, one person phoned me once when Guruji was coming and he said, oh, you're having jnana. Is there going to be a havan there? Means he meant havan actual. I said, no, there is no havan happening in the hall. The way this is to be understood, this jnana yajna, it is a yajna of jnana. It is the fire of knowledge in which you offer your ignorance. And that's why our lecture series, English translation is lecture series, which doesn't do justice to the word Jnana Yajna. That's why Jnana Yajna for this Upanishad, whatever. And this attitude of sacrifice that we we get it in this yajna period, which used to be only 1 week. There was nobody that could handle more than a week of, fully charged energy, has to be then converted into your everyday life, even when Swamiji leaves. So your whole life becomes a life of sacrifice. That is karma yoga. That is what is meant here by for yajna. You do, like, you must be prepared to sacrifice maybe your time, money, physical comforts. Sometimes it's uncomfortable. You have to pick up somebody in the middle of the night from the airport, or drop them early in the morning. So, it's disturbing your sleep. But there should be no complaining. That is what is meant by this life of sacrifice. If you look at Gurudev's life, for 40 years, there was no, the only time he didn't lecture was when he was on the plane traveling. Okay, the minute he arrived, first time he arrived at 3 o'clock from Europe, some country in Europe, France or somewhere. 6 o'clock lecture at SFU VHP. That was his first lecture. He was invited to talk by BHP, I think, and the lecture was in SFU. And that's when he stayed with Mr. and Mrs. Kapahi for the first time. 3 o'clock he came, and Mrs. Kapai herself has told us this. She said, 6 o'clock my lecture, how? At 6, you couldn't even tell he had come from a international flight. He was that fresh. So the whole life it's not like, okay, today I will rest, then tomorrow morning I will give lecture. Nothing. And then people coming, visiting him and all that. So the whole life, so this is what is meant by this word yajna. Do you get the idea? Where there is a sacrifice, where there is a surrender to the higher altar. And this is the next principle of karma yoga, sharanagata buddhi. This verse is telling you sharanagata, because when it is said you do it for the Lord, and I told you the Lord is all those any higher altar, you surrender. What are you surrendering? Your ego. Ego has to be surrendered. For purification of the mind, surrender of the ego, and finally annihilation of the ego, extremely essential. Right now, we are not looking for annihilation of the ego because we are not at that stage. We have to do karma yoga for a long, long time before we come to this thing. So ego is in a karma yogi, desire is there, ego is there. Please remember, okay? Both are there. As far as the ego is concerned, it is surrendered, which means, what is surrender? I am doing it for you. I am doing this karma for your sake. Oh Lord, oh baby, oh senior parents, oh country, oh guru, oh whoever. Okay, so my ego is at their feet, and my mind, the doership and the likes and dislikes are surrendered. Likes and dislikes are surrendered. Doership is surrendered. Likes and dislikes are sacrificed. When we use sacrifice word, what you're sacrificing is the like and dislike, and what you're surrendering is the ego. Ego is the doership. Doership is there. In karma yoga, remember, doership is there. Okay? Enjoyership is also there. Because desire is there. But it is surrendered. So what happens when it is surrendered is, okay, if that result comes or doesn't come, I will remain same. When the ego is not surrendered, then how did this result not come? I worked so hard. Then how did I not get this? Now I'm going to do double work. I'm going to get angry that I didn't get this. If I get it, I'm going to get greedy. That part is taken care of. And therefore, this yajna word becomes very important. Okay, now. Yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. So if the actions are not done with these attitudes, take your pick, whichever, not the physical doing fire ritual, but other as a sacrifice, as surrender, they will bind you. And that bondage, the bondage of karma is that karma will give result. I will get attached to the result, or I will hate the result. Hate also binds, love also binds. Both are binding. Both emotions are binding. Therefore, we need to go beyond both. He said it will bind. Tadartham karma kaunteya. Tadartham. That is why you do karma as for the sake of sacrifice, for the sake of sacrifice yourself in this war. See, in the war, Bhagwan has very clearly told Arjun, don't think that I am on your side because Draupadi got derailed. Arjun was there first. Why were they? They were trying to avenge Draupadi's insult. And Bhagwan told him, that is why Bhagwan has given this discourse. You are also, I am so definitely not here for Draupadi. I am here because you are on the side of Dharma, and I always am on the side of Dharma. You also should be fighting this war for Dharma. Because Duryodhana is very adharmic. The whole community, you need to fight the war for the community, not only your own wife. That is what Arjun, the message is of Bhagavad Gita. And same message goes for us. We don't have a war to fight, but we just don't do things only for, my family, then everything else doesn't matter. That attitude should not be there. We have to do work for the entire community. Not in whichever way we can, not that we have to, it's not like that, but whatever way you can help and sacrifice a little bit. I actually have somebody from India, this girl in treating her mother for COVID has basically lost everything. Now an appeal has been sent that if you can donate everything. Okay. So I shouldn't say, oh, my family is safe. What is there? Why should I? If I can, if it is easily possible, I should do. That is the attitude. This is what this chapter is teaching us. This karma yoga is that. So suppose maybe I have to sacrifice something little bit, then it's okay. That's what it is. Kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So by doing actions as a sacrifice of like and dislike, surrender of ego, which is doership and enjoyership, mukta sangha, mukta, free from attachment, sama achara. This word is also important. Now here, so mukta is free, sangha is attachment. Be free from attachment, which already in the previous verse 7 he said asanga, right? What did he use? Karma yogam asaktaha savishikta, the vishishate. The person who is detached is special. He said that. And here again he says mukta sangha attachment. Be free from all kinds of attachments. All attachments. Attachment to the action itself, to the result, and to the doership. There are only three things. There is the doership attitude, there is the action itself, and the result which is going to come, because law of karma dictates a result. So to all these three, there has to be, you be free. And now sama achara. This word is important. Achara means perform. Here Gurudev has put samachara, perform. Achara itself means perform. Okay, behavior. That's what achara means. But he has prefixed it with sama. Sama achara. What is that sama standing for? We need to understand. What happens is, suppose when I say, it can happen, we can misunderstand. So that's why we do a little bit of thinking on this. Why sama achara? Why not just achara? Okay, you perform being detached. Now, if I'm detached to the action, and especially if I'm detached to the result, more if I'm supposed to be, whatever comes, it's okay. Maybe I might think karma yoga means do karma in any which way. Who cares? That is that thinking. If the mind goes into those channels, I'm doing it as a servant now of the Lord. Anyway, credit is going to go to the Lord. Who cares? Main kyun karu? Achhe se. That is wrong. In karma yoga, that is not correct. And that's why do it very well. Sama achara means do it to the best of your ability. So don't think that karma is, karma yoga, when you're converting karma into karma yoga, where you're not attached to the karma, why should I do it with my full heart? I will do it half-heartedly. I might think, let me just do it half-heartedly. Who cares, If it's like if I'm supposed to be detached to the result of this lecture, then which means I'm detached to whatever emotions that you have, and who anyway I don't have to be worried about whether they like me or not. Why should I do a proper study and lecture? That is wrong. Yes, did you have a question?
Jayaji, while you were narrating this question came to me. So where does the ownership of action lie in all of this? Because one point in one way when you said it, it's like the ego should not be there, but then the ego is the one that needs to be there to take the ownership. So it was a very confusing for me. I was kind of till the last part where you said that you cannot uh, completely abandon. You have to do it because that happens, right, Jaji? Because somewhere I'm understanding now that okay, fine, I don't take ownership, so I don't put in everything then. But I have to put in everything, but the result should not bother. So at what level do I understand? I'm completely lost, Jaji, now.
Okay, what you have to understand there is, are you really the one that is doing the action? How many of you think, because quite a few of you have heard further chapters, how many of you think that you are really doing the action? Raise your hands. How many of you think that you're really doing? Nobody's raising hand. Okay. How many of you know that you are not the one that is doing the action? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Very good. Very good. Excellent. What needs to be understood at the level of the intellect is that the action is coming out because of the interaction of the gunas, because of interaction of Prakruti, which also has been said in this chapter itself. Verse 5. Verse 5. Nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tishthatya karma krita karyate yavashah karma sarvah prakrutihi jair gunaihi. Born of Prakruti. Verily, none can ever remain for even a moment without performing action. For everyone is made to act helplessly, indeed, by the qualities born of Prakruti. If you can get established in this point, what is happening is that gunas are acting, I jump in there and I take ownership. I did it. I did it. Every thought that comes in your mind, you must immediately know, God gave me this thought. That is surrender. That is surrender. I just told you, I got a message in the morning. That's why I was reading that message and I was and suddenly I had this thought, how to transfer the funds, because they've said I have to transfer it in Indian rupees. I personally myself don't have. And I just jumped for joy. I thought, yeah, God, thank you, Lord. That's immediately came. You gave me this idea. Thank you. Actually, the thought is coming because of the gunas, the sattva that is predominant. Because you see, tamas would have been, I got the message, I would not have responded. That is tamas. You know what? The rajas was that, sattva was that, why is this? See, the original message never asked for any help. I just got a message that this girl has lost everything. That's all the message I got. There was nothing. Then I thought, I said, why this message has been sent to me? And so I wrote back, what is the purpose? Is there an expectation of financial help? Then the reply came, if you can, without any burden to you, this is the bank details, but money has to be transferred in rupees. Then I thought, I don't have. So I was thinking, that's why I actually got it. You see my mind think, and then this idea came. It's a fantastic idea. I mean, that's what I'm going to do now, right? So understand that it is the gunas that are playing. And we actually, when we say I did it, we are actually hypocrites. It'll come now later.
Jayaji, do you fake it before you make it?
you have to first fake it, and then you have to get established in that idea. Fake means what do you mean fake it?
So I understand that this is how I have to work towards, right? I don't really know the feeling, because that is why I
Correct.
guess the
That's why you
stupid
need,
question, I'm
yeah,
asking you this question for people who have already risen above. They feel, okay, this is normal. But for someone at my level, probably,
correct.
I have to get
Remind
into that,
yourself.
remind
Yeah,
myself every
yeah,
step.
yes,
And
yes.
there is
That is
nothing
sadhana.
wrong in doing that, Sahaj.
No, no. That is purushartha. That is where the self-effort is coming in. Where is the self-effort? For a karma yogi, he has desires, he has ego. What is the self-effort that a karmi has to put in to become a karma yogi? Is remind himself, yes, I have this desire, but I want to purify my mind because I want to reach the stage of karma sannyas. So in the initial stages, yes, it is. And then as you go on doing it, I've told you, practice makes perfect. Nobody is a perfect driver when the day they get their driver's license. Then what that person does is goes on driving, and then he says after 10 years, 20 years, he says, okay. And even then people are scared because you don't know who will come and hit you and whatnot. Okay, so same way. Now you have heard this. That's why I'm telling you, whatever you hear, please remember it. It needs to be remembered. So that's why it needs to go in through the ears and into your heart. You need to intellectually understand, because mind is under the control of the intellect. So even in the mind, when the mind, yesterday only this, I was disturbed yesterday, and then I resolved it. I dissolved it myself without talking to anybody. That, because that is now coming from the, so what is my intellect telling me? What is this? Who is this? Why is this happening? This. Now that has to come naturally. For it to come naturally, first you have to do it unnaturally. What is Gita telling me? I should not be, I should surrender my ego. I should sacrifice my likes and dislikes. I don't like to do this, but anyway, now I have to do it. Yes.
How do you differentiate between that false sense of happiness and the real sense of peace, JC? Because like every action, when you do this, you feel, okay, I'm good, I did something good. But the moment you say I did something good, again the I comes there.
Yeah.
So not getting caught in the wrong loop, but trying to rise above it. That is.
Yeah. So I feel good. Thank you, Lord. Start with the
Okay.
thank you. Start with gratitude. Thank you, Lord.
Krishnarpadamastu, everything, okay, it is because of you this happens.
Yes.
Whatever happens.
Yeah.
So basically,
Yeah.
you get to a neutral stage. Whether anything bad happens, it's because of you. Good happens, it is because of you.
Yeah. And if bad happens, you say, okay, you gave me the bad. Now you give me the strength to bear this, or you show me a solution. I've given you, I think, I don't know how many of you remember, I lost my driver's license, right? One day I came home from my walk and no driver's license in my pocket. And I thought, oh Lord, now what? And then I said, okay, let me go take a shower first. Karmanne vadika raste came to my mind. I'm like, thank you, Lord. Okay, that means you're telling me go back, trace your step, because you dropped it on the way somewhere. And I went back the same route and I found my driver's license on the floor there in the parking lot, right? So that's what I said. When I had this thought how to send the money, I'm like, thank you, Lord, you gave me this thought. Immediate. Every thought is because of him. You must get into that mode. That is karma yoga. So when you do karma, when anything would, oh, thank you, Lord, today's lecture came out well. Thank you, Lord. So start there. Start there with a sense of gratitude.
Thank you, Jay.
So sama achara, work must be perfect. Okay, perfect. Now, perfect, what is perfection? The best of your ability. You must recognize that your best and somebody else's best may not be the same. Okay? But your best you do. And you say, oh Lord, you know what? This is the best I could do. Like now with that, I have to send money. I have to send money, only so much money that it shouldn't agitate me. So this is the best amount that I can send. Somebody else might send much more than that. Right? So what is the best that I can do? How much can I afford? I can afford this much. So you do your best. Don't see what others' best is, because that could be totally different. Or don't even say, why I should work this? This one is not working that much, half of what I'm, that is even worse. Why should I do? Why should I do? Well, that person is not even working that much. That shouldn't be there. That is the meaning of this sama word. Sama, achara is do, perform. Achara also, achara, acharana, acharya, all these words are coming from the same verbal root chi. Chi dhatu, which we have also seen in sanchita karma. So chi dhatu is to collect. Now this acharya word, uh, acharya is teacher. So acharya means the one who has collected all his experiences and brought it out in practice. And therefore this acharya is, you have a memory of what you have done previously and you bring all the good into your present behavior. Therefore that acharya word is there for perform. Okay, and sama, to the best of your ability. So here Bhagwan is telling him, if you do action for yajna, like I told you, you will have freedom in action, because freedom from action is not an option. There is no option like that I will give up this. You will give up one action and you will pick up some other action. So freedom from action is not possible. It will continue till the body continues to live. But freedom in action is possible by detaching yourself, and then be free, be detached. But don't think that being detached means doing work in a haphazard way. You need to do it perfectly. All right? Clear? Good. Next. सह यज्ञा प्रजा सृष्ट्वा पुरोवाच प्रजापतिः अनेन प्रसविष्यध्वम् एषवोस्त्विष्ट कामधुक. The Prajapati, the creator, having in the beginning of creation created mankind together with sacrifice, said, by this shall you propagate. Let this be the milk cow of your desire, Kamadhuka, the cow which yields all desired objects. The purpose of this verse is Bhagwan's what it is showing us is Bhagwan's humility. Bhagwan has given a principle of karma yoga. He is not taking credit. See, Bhagwan himself, throughout Bhagavad Gita, you will see, he will say, this is my opinion. This is what the wise sages say. This is what, now here what he's saying is, this principle of karma yoga, the principle of doing work as a sacrifice was actually given by Brahmaji at the beginning of creation. So he has pushed all the credit to Brahmaji. That is one thing we learn from this verse. What we do, I thought and I did. So that's what you do. Whenever you do anything good, push it to the Lord. There was an interview happening of a music guy. He was a singer. And he had won many awards and all that. On TV, the interview was going, Sushma, those of you know, she used to have a program. She was interviewing him. And then she would say, oh, in this year you won this award and that award. And every time whenever he answered, he would do this. He would touch his earlobe. And after a few questions, even we could notice it. Like every time when she talked about his successes, his awards, his whatever, he did this. And then he said, okay, this. Then she asked him, she said, I noticed that every time I ask you about your achievements, you're doing this. Why are you doing this? He said that whatever achievement that I have got is only because of my guru. And when we do this, that is an indication that in my mind, I have remembered my guru. And then I'm replying, okay, then I did this and I went here. But this was, it's like that Om that I told you. Even on top of your grocery list, put Om. That's this. So even in their field, in the singing, he was a singer. I don't remember his name. Many years ago, this happened. And every time she talked, he did this, he replied. He did this, what is this? Why are you doing? So she said, no, that is, I remember my guru. So you see, so that sense of surrender is there. He himself was so accomplished, so many awards, this, that, blah, blah. Anyway, so Sahayatnya Praja Srushva, during the time of creation, so Kamadhuka is like there is a Kalpa Vraksha also in the heavens. Kalpa Vraksha is tree. So the wish fulfilling tree. So if you sit under that tree and you wish for anything, that'll get fulfilled. That is the idea. This Kamadhuka is the same idea. She is a wish fulfilling cow. So this Kamadhuka, he said, let this be the milk cow of your desire. So you have these desires, and the sacrifice that you will make for those desires, that is what will give you the results. This is the meaning here. Having in the beginning created mankind together with sacrifice. So creation happened, and this sacrifice, first of all, he himself sacrificed his jnana, the knowledge, his memory. He remembered how he had done the creation before. That is how it is, and and then he created this. So this by yajna is that. So it is, what is being said is, this is not a new goal that I'm telling you. This is not a new principle that I'm telling you. This has been from the beginning of creation, from the creator himself. Yajna is that for life, for our normal life. Now, in this modern context, there are two things that are very essential. One is material prosperity, and the next is spiritual stability. See, outward life, you need prosperity. Doesn't mean like huge amount of riches, but you do need enough money to live a comfortable life. Now, what is the definition of comfort for you? That will depend. A person in one bedroom flat also is very comfortable. And then there's a person who will say, what is this? A huge 10 room house is also not enough. That is a different matter. But whatever is there, so for that comfortable life, the material prosperity is required. But to handle the material prosperity, what is required is inner strength. Mental strength is very important, and mental strength will come only with spiritual background, with a spiritual background. That's why there are so many people who are now so afraid. Most common is of death. People are so afraid of death. People are so much afraid of COVID. People are so much afraid. See, if we understand that if this is all to the body and not to the soul, not to me, that fear will go away. But here what he's saying is that this sacrifice, the idea of sacrifice is this Kamadhuka. So when you sacrifice, when you do action with an attitude of sacrifice, it will give you the desired results. It will give you the desired results. Okay? Help each other in a attitude of sacrifice. There is a story here that goes, is that Brahmaji once upon a time invited, okay, I'll quickly tell, invited the Devas and the Asuras for a lunch party. It was a lunch party. And the Devas were kept in one room and the Asuras were kept in another room. And lavish amounts of foods, lots of food was there, except Brahmaji came and told them that there is one condition before you eat the food. You cannot bend your elbow to eat. You cannot bend the elbow. Okay, how do we eat? We eat like we take and then we eat. So you have to bend your elbow. And that's the condition that he put. You cannot bend and you can eat whatever you want, but no bending of elbow. He went away. After a while, he came back. And he went to the Asura's room and they were all sitting and thinking, hungry. All of them were hungry. Nobody had touched the food. Nobody, nothing. And he went to the Devas and the Devas were all happy. The food was all finished and they were all full. And he said, oh, how did you eat without bending the elbows? And the Devas said, very, very simple. They said, we took the food and we fed my neighbor. I fed my neighbor and he fed me. So there was no question of bending the elbow at all. Sacrifice. Thought. Sattvic thought, right? Asuras never even thought of feeding anybody else. They're only thinking, how do I feed myself without bending? No, there is no way that you can eat without bending your own elbow. That's all the thought that they had, and they remained hungry. So that's why this attitude. So if I have that in my mind, that I can sacrifice something for somebody else, it will become like a kamadhoka. Means it will become a wish fulfilling cow. That is what is meant here. Next verse, we'll take it up next Sunday. Any questions? Next verse, there is a bit more explanation than this. Okay. Anything, anybody finding anything difficult to understand? Okay. All right. The first step for karma yoga is understand that you have to do action, and whatever good action comes, start with thanking the Lord, because that's where we are taking credit. When we thank somebody else, then we have shifted the credit over there. All right. Okay.